Do it, okay? Do it.
Gosh darn it.
Here's another good person. We really enjoyed talking to him the first time he came on the show. Let's do it again. His name's Robert Turbin, former Seahawks running back, joining us here live on Willard and Dibs. And Robert, we said it off the top of our show. This one, Thursday night, Brock Purdy coming off of injury. He is going to play. Division matchup, desperate team. It's got all the makings that we sports fans point to when we think of what's called a trap game. Player standpoint, did you ever experience a trap game, and do you ever see it before it happens?
I've experienced trap games as a player, yes. You don't really necessarily see them coming because each week you're focused on preparing the same way that you do every week. I'm going to have to disagree with you just a little bit on this game being somewhat of a trap game. I understand the 49ers are having a good year and they are on a roll, and the Seahawks, on the other hand, on a 3-game losing streak. But overall, if you look at the Seahawks season, it's still been pretty good. They're still in the playoff fight. I think a trap game would be more somebody like the Bears or someone who is not in the race, completely having a down year and just out of it. So I don't even really see this as a trap game. This is going to be, this is obviously a big game for both teams, but particularly for the Hawks because of the way that they've been struggling lately.
Yeah, and maybe just because the Hawks have been home and the Niners coming off a short week, having to travel from the Bay Area up to a place where they've lost 15 of 18. What does Seattle need to do in terms of limiting this Brock Purdy-led Niner attack?
Well, the thing that they've been struggling to do the most is stop the run defensively. And, we know the 49ers, regardless of who the running back has been, and they just so happen to have one of the best in all of the NFL right now in Christian McCaffrey. And so the focus is really going to have to be on stopping him and seeing if Brock Purdy can then kind of take the reins of the offense and lead the team to victory, which I think he can. I think he's shown enough on tape that, he can really be a starting quarterback for a long time in the NFL if he got that opportunity. So for the Seahawks, it's going to be about stopping the run. And then on the offensive side of the ball, Geno's having a good year, not concerned about the passing game at all, but Kenneth Walker coming back off from the injury. They haven't been able to run the ball either. And so that's going to be a big indication for this game as well for them.
Robert, I certainly don't want to draw a line between the 4th round and the 7th round of the draft. I think those are two different things. However, that is considered a later draft pick. You were a 4th rounder, and so I wonder what your experience was. What's it like when you're not a 1st or a 2nd rounder, the journey to getting your team to believe in what you can do? What was that like for you?
Yeah, no, it starts in practice. I remember as a young rookie even, I came in, they drafted me to be the number 2 guy behind Marshawn, and then, as a young player, you're still learning like what your routine is on a daily basis. And, routine breeds consistency within your game. And when you don't have one, you seem to be inconsistent. It's normal for a young player. And I ended up getting demoted down to like 3rd string. Leon Washington, who was a veteran at the time, ended up taking my spot. Now, I ended up getting back, but you have to earn those, those ways and those stripes within your teammates. And if you're not able to do it in the game, then you certainly got to do it in practice every opportunity that you get.
And the big opportunity has been given to Geno Smith. And how impressed have you been by what he's been able to do, where Seattle is a little bit of a laughingstock going into the season with Russell Wilson leaving and everyone wondering what they do at quarterback, and Geno Smith has taken the thing by the horns and run with it.
I was always confident in Seattle. I felt like at the beginning of the season that they would win 7 games at least and 9 games at the most, with the potential to be in a position to be a wild card spot. Now, nobody expected the Rams to have the season that they're having, and so I thought Seahawks would probably come in 3rd behind the Niners and Rams in the NFC West, but it looks like it's going to be 1-2, which is good for them because they'll be in there. They're still in the playoff hunt, but they still have some cornerstone pieces. I've had an opportunity to train with Geno down in Florida, and we were teammates in 2019 for a short time. Trained with them that following season down at the System 8 in Miami, and just seeing the kind of work ethic that he puts in, man, like the unscheduled hours, and so I'm not surprised. that he's having the season that he's having this year.
Robert, do you think he's the quarterback of the Seahawks again next year?
I think so. I do think so, especially if they make the playoffs. Winning is a big indication for, decisions that you're going to make the following year, if you're sitting in those decision-making seats. And, making the playoffs as opposed to not making the playoffs is a big deal. I think another example of that is from a coaching standpoint, like Brandon Staley with the Chargers. It's like, you got Justin Herbert, you got all these weapons, but you ain't been to the playoffs. If you don't make the playoffs this year, you may not have a job anymore, although your record as a head coach overall has been, pretty decent. The team is progressing. So, I think for Geno, making the playoffs is going to be a huge part of that choice for the Seahawks next year.
The extension of that question is, how would you handicap the quarterback's situations in the NFC West going forward, where if that's what you think about Seattle, Stafford's got an injury that's scary for his career. Kyler's now dealing with a torn ACL and a big contract, and the 49ers might have a young guy battle between Brock Purdy and Trey Lance the way it's looking right now. What do you think this looks like over the next couple of years?
Well, I'll start with the 49ers. The 49ers, if you're the 49ers, you're in the best situation of everybody. You have two young quarterbacks, one who's proving he can play. The other one, unfortunately, hadn't had that opportunity, but at the end of the day, is a first-round pick. And then you have equity in Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know all of the other details of his contract, but from my understanding, it's multi-year. They can still trade him in the offseason and get something back. What he did this year, despite the injury, was prove that he could play. So that's good equity for the 49ers. For the Rams, it's just about what Matthew Stafford decides he wants to do. Does he, can he do? Can he physically play? And does he want to play? If he can, that's a choice he has to make. But you do have what seems like to be a nice, formidable, short-term quarterback in Baker Mayfield, who may turn into a longer-term quarterback down the road. And if there's any coach that can get the best out of a quarterback, it's probably Sean McVay. You saw what he was able to do with Jared Goff. They went all the way to the Super Bowl, for crying out loud. And so, and he's still playing some good ball in Detroit. So, and with Arizona, I thought they paid Kyler Murray too early anyway. And now you're likely not going to have him for the entire season next season. So I don't know what they do. They may adjust the quarter. They're not going to get a young guy in the draft. Certainly not in the first round. And so it might be the Colt McCoy show next season. We'll see about that. And then, for the Seahawks, listen, I think Geno signs a 2 or 3 year deal to remain the Seahawks quarterback for at least the near future. And they go draft a guy, either this year or next year to maybe be the future after Geno.
And maybe Arizona winds up with Jimmy Garoppolo, who will be a free agent at the end of this year. Jimmy staying in the division.
Good one.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to go somewhere.
That's an interesting thought.
Russell Wilson in Denver, Robert, I know he's a former teammate of yours and perhaps a friend, but what happened?
Yeah. That's so funny. What happened? Listen, it just didn't work out this season, man. It's like new coach, new system, new players, new quarterback, and you think that this, you put two guys on a blind date and it's going to work out, and it doesn't. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. And this, from a philosophical standpoint, just didn't work out. The styles didn't match between, Hackett and Russ, and somebody's got to go, and it's likely going to be Hackett.
By the way, before you go, and I know you're a local guy. You're born in Oakland, right?
I was born in Oakland, yeah.
Okay. Our YouTube feed is filled with people, and I see You Never Go Full Jeff, and there's a bunch of guys right now that are all freaking out. Irvington High, Robert was a star, say hi. Like, your past is listening right now, Robert.
That's what's up. Well, shout out to Irvington High School, man, all the people I grew up with in Fremont, man. It's all love.
Beautiful. Hey, Robert, thank you for making time for us today. Great stuff.
All right, my man. Take care.
Okay.